Hello, just a quick note before we show you our Game Night 2017 Year in Review episode. We all had a terrific year creating the show, and we look forward to bringing you what we have in store for the new year. We'd also like to ask our viewers to consider supporting our show and Board Game Geek during the site's 2017 End of the Year support drive.
With a pledge of $15 or more, you receive the 2017 Patron Badge and Supporter Micro Badge.
Yeah, and every 2017 supporter will receive 1,000 bonus Geek Gold that you can use for many things on the site, like customizing your profile with an avatar and micro badges. So please consider supporting Board Game Geek and Game Night by following the link below to make your contribution. Thanks for your support and for watching.
Wow, that's loud. On Game Night, Nikki, Mark, Mike, Aaron, Lincoln, and myself, Dave, are going to do a very special episode of Game Night in which one of us dies. No, I'm just kidding. Instead, it's the 2017 Year in Review, where we're going to talk about this year, Game Night episodes, games we played, games we didn't play, stuff like that relates to this year, 2017. Let's go.
Hey, Dave.
Yes, Lincoln?
Do you want to tell us about your year in review?
I'll ask you guys as well about our year in review. But let me just make sure and check with Aaron. Was that too weird for you? Did you like that one?
That was smooth. It was perfect.
All right. You get to maintain your first status. We're going to talk about games from this year, games that we played this year that might not be from this year, other stuff that relates to this year and games. And before I say those two phrases again, let's throw it to Aaron right away. Aaron, why don't you start us off?
All right. This is a game. I'm going to talk about a game that is not, I believe, new this year. But
then let's throw it instead to...
I think it's a 2016 game, but it was new to me. And it's called 13 Days. It is a great summation of it is Twilight Struggle in 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever wanted to play Twilight Struggle, but you thought, I don't have 4 to 8 hours? For a new player or like a person who's not that familiar with it, it can definitely take quite a while. Yeah, no, I could play it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
13 Days is a Cuban Missile Crisis game. It's for 2 players. Like Twilight Struggle, it's one player's the US, one player's the USSR.
So it's a 2-player.
It is a 2-player game. Like Twilight Struggle, you place influence cubes on areas or on the board. And it's just a very clean, quick, easy to learn and easy to play political, tense simulator. I really like the design, and it's really easy to pick up and fun to play. And in a really neat symmetry of game design, you play 13 rounds. The deck of cards has 13 US cards, 13 USSR cards, and 13 neutral cards. There's 13 areas to place your cubes in, and you each have 13 cubes, and that's your limit to place.
Oh, nice.
So it's just a really clean design, and I could teach it to you in 5 minutes, maybe 10.
Wow.
And it's a really neat design that I enjoyed showing to several people this year.
You'd probably heard of this, right?
Sure.
Do you guys? I'd never heard it.
Yeah, I'd heard about it.
Yeah? That sounds really cool, actually.
So that was my most fun discovery, not of things we did on the show.
Did you play it a lot?
I played it 3 or 4 times, but I just bought it 4 months ago or so.
Okay. So late to the
late to the table.
All right, that's cool.
Thanks. That was my discovery.
Nikki P, what about you?
Oh, boy. I have a bunch of games I want to get to that I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
But I also have a lot of the games I really enjoyed this year were just Game Night games. So Wasteland Express, totally love that game.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And just the theme of it makes it even a little more hilarious and fun. And I liked El Dorado a lot. I haven't played a lot of the different
the
layouts of the tiles.
Quest for El Dorado?
Yeah, so
That's
I'd
right. I was
like...
going to say the road.
Yeah.
It's Quest, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's what we thought. That's what I'd heard it was going to be called at the time. But
It's not called a race
Is
to
it
El Dorado?
race? Isn't it race?
That's Quest for El Dorado.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
think we just call it El Dorado.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do.
Wait, Nikki,
Okay.
that's how I'm sure everyone's talking about it.
All right. Continue.
Other shows other games you liked or shows you liked?
Number 9
Yeah.
for
Yes.
an
I
abstract
agree.
and piling up stuff. It's really fun. And then there are 3 games here at the end of my list I really enjoyed, but they're so bleak.
I know one of those.
I really loved Black Orchestra.
Yeah.
I
Probably-
really,
Probably my favorite episode
yeah,
of the year.
Yeah.
okay.
Loved it.
I really loved This War of Mine.
Same. Definitely.
And, well, actually, the last one isn't bleak. I was mistaken. And Mountains of Madness is a lot of fun.
It's
That's not, you're going.
That one actually
you're
changed for
going
me
crazy, but
from.
All right, well, let's jump across to you.
That one actually changed because that was one of the ones I was most excited about, and it's still a fun game. But they kind
Mountains of Madness? Was that
Mountains
the one
of
I know as In the Mouth of Madness?
No.
No, Mountains of
No.
Madness. It's the one.
Mountains of
It's the
Madness.
Davio game.
Okay.
Got
it.
Davio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the problem was that you didn't have to go back down the mountain.
yeah.
They changed it where you fly
Oh,
off the
really?
top of the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I'd only played the prototype
I'm not
version,
sure that-
where you did have to come back down.
I'm sure they probably just did it for just to make it a little bit quicker and easier to get through. So that it's more engaging for people. But I kind of miss that because the madnesses keep piling up, and you don't get more of the same. You just get a new one that people have to deal with. And I felt in the few times I have played it since the published version came out, it wasn't quite like as that part of it kind of lost some of its strength, which was the best part because I think last year we mentioned how he said it was a perfect game for you, and it
You haven't played it yet, right?
No, I haven't.
it has like it puts insanity into a game, and it makes a lot of sense. I just felt it kind of lost a little of that steam, but admittedly, I think I've played it twice since it was published. The 2 times I played it, almost all of the same madnesses came out, which is not fun, right? Because you can figure it out. Like the one I had.
But that will eventually happen.
Of course, but
like
in the first
5,
2
10
plays to have
into
that
it,
happen.
yeah.
And then we had a foul up that somebody got a blank card and didn't know what was
Oh,
going
that
on
would
there.
be great if that was intentional.
Yeah,
So I think that probably colored the perception of it, but I
Yeah.
still think I do really think it's a great game.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, okay. So, couple for me. This year was weird for me, right? Because I spent a third of the year living outside the
Yeah.
country, and then I got back, and I haven't been part of my regular game group as much. So it's been just odd this
Right.
year. I'm looking forward to.
So you probably
things
taught a
settling
lot
down.
of old games this year.
Probably, yeah, some, and just the gaming's been different. But I liked Ethnos a lot. I don't know if you guys
Yeah, I
played
know about that.
Ethnos.
Yep.
No.
So Ethnos, it's an area control game, right? And it's pretty conventional. The thing that was kind of funny about it for me is that everyone knows it's like a cliche that I don't like games with orcs and dragons and goblins and fantasy junk inside the game. And,
Fantasy junk.
Uh-oh, these 2 guys are across the table from each
Yeah,
other.
I know,
Is it gonna come to blows?
But, one of our friends, Ryan Davis, said, he even knew that about me. And he said, but you should play this game because I think he knew what the gameplay underneath the hood was like. And it was kind of old school Euro style. To me, it's kind of old school Euro style. And so I played that. And I liked it a lot. I really liked the game a lot. And another one that was new to me this year, I've only played it once, okay, but it made a big hit, a big splash on me, was Tecmo Bowl. You know what this is?
Nope.
So it's a football game, American football game. Here we are nearing the end of football season here. And so football games are hard to do well, I think. If they want to do play calling or drafting or whatever, there's so many rabbit holes that games can go down. And most of them do go down rabbit holes to their detriment, right? This game was just like, it's kind of trying to recreate the old, might be 80s or 90s video game, Tecmo Bowl.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
And but
Right.
it does it with cards and little blocks for your players, or at least if you pimp it out, it has blocks for the players. Otherwise, little cardboard stand-ups. And you just do one drive. I mean, there's 4 downs, but it's 4 downs to go 100 yards for the entire football field, right? And it was just really cool.
I see. So there's no first down. You just get
No.
4 downs. That's it.
4 downs to make it to score. Yeah, and it just had a lot of the fun of football. But that makes it sound really silly, maybe. But you still are using linemen to set up blocks and open up holes and run through. So it's got that silly part, the 100 yards and 4
Right.
downs thing, but with some real football stuff going on.
That actually sounds
That's
kind of
cool.
It is
yeah.
cool.
Because I know we've had this discussion before. You and I both love Harry's Grand Slam baseball, and the opposite side of that spectrum are like the Stratomatic games with like all the things, and somewhere more towards Harry's is where you and I lie, I think, for most sports games.
Right. So where's the light, fun version of football?
That still has
I've been
the sports
trying a
feel.
lot of games to try to find it. This is the best so far
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
So number 9 was a fun game. I know I played a couple times. I think Azul is kind of that secret game that I really like. I think there's a lot of interaction with it. There's a little bit of screen, kind of plan ahead. I really liked it on our game night when we played it. Game night I haven't played. Have played, but I like King Domino. It's a small jars. So I think it's really easy, really clean, really fast. There's some strategy in it, but it's not supposed to be that long. 10-15 minutes. It's a good game for that. I'm really happy with it, and it's really easy to teach new players.
Except for the scoring. The scoring is tricky.
This guy here is so funny. The first scoring I fouled up.
No, it's the math part that's hard.
It's not for everybody.
It's all right. It's all right. He's not. It's luckily he doesn't have to do with math for a living.
Not at all. I like King Domino a lot. I was really happy. And then so El Dorado I really want to play, and I have not played. There's a bunch of games on my list that I want to play. El Dorado, Lisboa.
Yeah,
looks
amazing.
Definitely want to play.
Clans of Caledonia.
Yep.
Same.
Keeper.
What's that?
That's the new Richard
Brees game.
The new Key series game.
Oh, Key. The Key series.
Because I love because Keyflower is probably one of my 10 game, 10 ranking games. So I'm really excited to see another game in his library. You guys played Century Spice Road.
Yeah, that was on my
and I
list.
really want to. I didn't get to play that. I would really like to play that.
It's funny when you mention El Dorado because that might be, while the game is not necessarily my favorite game, that might have been one of my more favorite episodes that we did. Right. Only because, in addition to the episode being kind of fun, we then turned off the cameras and played it 2 more times. And for those, who might wonder how that works, we often don't get a chance to do that because we're trying to film stuff and we're trying to play all the games that we can play. And the luxury of being able to do that 2 more times afterwards for me
was a treat.
I've said this for years and years. I'm a huge fan of playing a game multiple times in a row.
Yeah.
And I always have that feeling where when we're done with a game, 98% of the time, the next thing that happens is people start putting it back in the box.
Yeah.
When I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why don't we just leave this out and
Play again?
Yeah.
But I understand. I totally understand why people don't like to necessarily play that many games 2 or 3 times in a row. Even in long games, though. Like, I'll play a game that's like an hour and a half or 2 hours and go, let's play that again. And again, it's a time thing. If you're having like a game night at your place.
Right.
Also, you want to shake up the tables if you've got more than one table. So it's hard sometimes just to make that happen. It's one of the things I like about conventions. Going to conventions is my ability to play a game multiple times, often in a row. Sure. Mm-hmm. So that episode itself is a favorite for me for that particular reason. What do you got?
There's a bunch of games that I had that I thought were great this year. The Exit games.
Yep.
I love them. That was a good episode for
Yep.
us. It wasn't such a great episode for the fans. We're not happy with the no top-down view.
That was a tough spoiler alert decision, though, right?
Well, because that game, after we did it, I'm looking at the game and I realized this is the game to start this series for people. If they're going to start to play those games, that's the one to play.
So you didn't want to give it away.
It's too great, We
need spoiler technology, so you can have 2 videos.
Yeah,
one without the overhead shot and one with the overhead shot.
I could have posted, but I didn't really want to because people would watch it.
The little red glasses.
Red glasses. Put on your game night glasses.
Yes.
For your secret message.
But it's such a great series, and there's 3 more in English now that just came out at Essen, or just before Essen, I believe. So I'm excited to try some more of those. We still haven't played the pyramid one, or the Egyptian themed one, which is supposed to be the best but most challenging of the first 3. And then let's see what else I got here. Well, Nikki already mentioned Black Orchestra, one of my favorite games of last year, one of my favorite game nights. It does bring up a point, though, about our episodes, which this War of Mine has the same kind of a little bit of criticism, is we're all having a really fun time in this very dark themed game, and we're cheering things like the Crystal Knight, Crystal Knight. But the thing is it's like, we are excited that we are thematically in that game trying to stop the Nazis. Right. So but the Crystal Knock is a bad event, but was a good event for us trying to stop the Nazis. And then with this War of Mine, which we just put up, we're just trying to stay alive. It is grim, and you have to choose. There is choosing people to die. And that's one reason why I had a discussion with somebody on YouTube about it. I thought, well, maybe if you had your own player that you were representing, instead of us representing the group, you might be more invested, but then I think you'd be hurt
That'd
more.
be worse, yeah.
Exactly,
Then
when you have
I'd
to
be
die.
the guy to die.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
right.
obviously you can make that noble
I
gesture
think
and do
they
it, but
specifically didn't
exactly.
want that to happen.
But he felt it was like just a direct translation of the video game with the multiplayer pasted on. He thought there should be not necessarily like secret missions, but not
Some sort of
negative
goals or
yeah, but not exactly not
individual-
negative to the. But you kind of can't do that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that the size of the group needs to change. It needs to get down to 2. It needs to
Yes,
get down to
yes.
potentially 1. You know.
Yes.
And maybe bounce back from that. We did not bounce back from that.
Right.
But it would be interesting to see that kind of dynamics. I think that's really where that one builds for me and makes it interesting.
I see that point. I mean, you and I playing this War of Mine 2-player is not significantly different than the 4 of us playing.
Exactly.
it on the
It's just
table.
more
It's just-
discussion.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
But I
was
still-
that's the one criticism I have of our dynamic in our group is we will discuss,
right.
decide what we're going to do, and then the discussion starts again before we do that move. And it's like we just discussed this for 10 minutes, but it's still fun. I also really love Dice Forge. Dice Forge is a neat. It's on your list too.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's such a neat game. It's you'd think it's like a most amazing production for $40. That one and Mechs vs. Minions are like the best bang for your buck production games, because it's got the decisions, like having 2 dice is gigantic. Like, okay, do I want to put it on this die to make this multiply this one, or it's so well done, and there's a lot of variety with all the cards, and I really love that one. It's such a great game, and we've taught some people since then, and it's
even incorrectly. I taught the game to a couple of people, and we played it twice, I think, 2 times in a row. So, of course, I'm very happy. Twice in a row. And then while we're playing the game, the second one, one of the guys goes, "What is this little symbol right here on the red thing?" And I had completely blanked on the rule that you could spend 2 of those red things to take an extra turn.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
So we played
wow.
the game twice in a row without that extra turn. And it was still fantastic.
Yeah.
Dice Forge is a great game. I
Yeah.
remember playing it. It
Yeah,
was
you-
really, really fun. It's gives you that ability to, when you customize your dice, you be able to, because it's that mix and matching, as you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
And you have to really think about what
Yeah,
you're
like
going to do.
what am I going to? What's my best return? Do I want points or do I want money?
But
And
then there's that
you
tension.
can't change it.
Right,
Once
and
you-
there's that tension when you're rolling and you're not getting the one you want.
And your ability to actually get those combos to work for you when you have that extra turn. so you can get a card and also get a. I mean, when you don't have the extra turn, it was very interesting because you couldn't do both, right?
Right.
It was always a binary
Well,
choice.
I think in our very initial play, we didn't play where you could purchase as many dice
Yeah.
faces as you want. Not on the show. We did it correctly, but
when you played it, when we
Yeah.
first played it, it was you could buy 1 dice face.
Right,
Die
but,
face.
but when you teach the game incorrectly
Exactly.
without that extra turn,
Yeah.
you're
It's the same
only
thing, though,
you're
kind of,
only
that.
ever purchasing dice faces or cards, but you
Correct.
can't do both in one
Right.
turn.
Right.
You can't do that kind of piggyback
Yeah.
move, and that can be huge as well. And the other important thing is, and I think this is one of the reasons the game is so great, is that you are always getting stuff on other players' turns.
Yes.
So you are
Yes.
constantly playing the game.
Yeah, it's like
essentially.
Catan, where
Yeah.
you're getting resources and stuff. So,
Yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah.
What about Stave? What else were your episodes of the year or games that you?
Those
discovered
2
this
were
year?
probably. Dice Forge is going to be my other one, and you basically stole it from me. Come on, aren't all my episodes my favorite? Not an episode, but easily a favorite game of mine for this year is Codenames Duet, the 2-player version of Codenames. When you first hear that they did a 2-player version of Codenames, you think, what? How is that possible? And I might actually like it better than Codenames.
Agree.
It's
Might be better.
for one thing, it gets rid of the downtime rule, because if the person across the table from you is taking extra long to maybe think of something, well, he's on your team or she's on your
Yeah.
team, so it's like, okay, take all the time you need. Give me a good clue. They just figured out a cool way to do it and make it a 2-player game, and it's fantastic.
Well, the thing that makes that great for me is the time pressure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's turn pressure, right? You
Yeah.
only have so many turns. And that is what really makes that game great, because it could go on forever. It's an activity. It's like a concept which we were talking about yesterday.
Well, realistically, a game of Codenames, though it doesn't have a limited number of turns, I'd be very surprised if it went past a certain
Of course,
number of turns.
but I mean, you really feel the pressure with those chits. It's like they're going whether you guess it or not. You know, it's like, oh well, there you go. We got 20, I think, is what it is, right?
Right.
And that's actually rough.
20
or 18 or something. It's not a lot.
It's 9 on each side,
Okay,
but 3
18,
overlaps.
yeah.
So, and you can calibrate it. You can give yourself more turns. They give you the basic game is like a 9-turn game, but they give you 11 of those chits. You can give yourself fewer turns. I don't think I would ever do any of those variants. They have like a little map where you can do like
campaign.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm against doing that, but I can't imagine I wouldn't ever just play the basic game. But it's really fun, and I was sort of an acolyte for that game as well. I was like, if you play this, and you play this, and you play this, hey, sit down, here we go. Like it was just a fun game, also just to teach to people, because it meant that I don't know. How many 2-player games do you play? Anymore. I'm not saying there aren't a lot of them. Your very first game was a 2-player game, for example. But there used to be, remember when Cosmos had their like 2-player game line?
Yes.
Like that was a thing for a while, 2-player games.
Right.
And I feel I feel like that's waned for the moment. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a 2-player party game is.
Well, the one that's similar, were you going to say something? The one that's similar to me, not the same game, but similar as far as the type of activity for it is Word Slam. So have you played? Okay, so I'm surprised you. I want to do it on the show somehow. It's like it'd be best for like this group, because you do want more players, but you're describing the same word on each side at the same time. So on this side, Mike would be giving us clues by putting these words on the board, on the easel, for us to guess. At the same time, you're doing the same thing.
For the same word or for a different word?
Same word.
Okay.
So you can hear what the other team is doing, and you're like, and sometimes you'll get it based on what you're seeing here and hearing what they say, like, because it's a different set of words that they're using to describe the word. So it's the same set of like 103 words or something like that and we've laid them out, and I guess, because that's what at BGG Con Spring, was that where we did that?
Yeah.
Aldi says you use, the way to play it is have them in the deck. So you're going through quicker. I don't remember what he said changes about that, but it makes a lot of sense too, because you're looking around for all the words and stuff, and you're trying to group them. It makes it a little bit more fun to like. It seems like it would be to rifle through the deck really quickly and try to find the ones that you need to describe.
That sounds
it's
like
a great
real-time party version of Password.
It is. It's really, really good. I watched the German designers, because it's Inka and Marcus Brand, I believe it is, and the publisher playing it. And they were doing it, I believe, in German. They might have been doing it in English, but I was flipping out. This was at Essen last year, and could not wait for it to come out in English, and it came out earlier this year. It's one that I still would like to try to do. I'd hoped that maybe we would do the live stream this year, but this has been a super hard year with the events at the end, all right next to each other at the end of the year, so maybe next year. Had you heard of that one, Mark?
Yeah, I just heard about it.
Right.
And, I always have kind of a weird thing about party games, is that I like certain party games, and that sounds like a perfect one. I don't want to be dancing or singing or anything like that, but guessing words.
So you haven't played Dancing Orc?
No.
Dancing orcs. Can't be just one orc.
And you already mentioned some of the games that I wanted to play that I didn't get to. Black Orchestra. It's like when I watched your guys' show, I thought, because I heard about it before. I do a lot of wargaming, so I'm used to topics that sometimes people think, should there be a game about that? So that part didn't throw me at all. But I just wasn't sure how it would be in terms of execution of the game. Then I watched you guys play it, and I thought, that looks really cool.
It's really, really
I really
amazing.
want to play that.
Did you actually get a copy of it yet?
No.
I think it's coming soon.
Yeah,
if it hasn't just come out.
Waiting for that second edition. I don't think it's out
okay,
yet.
Did you back it on Kickstarter?
No, but I'm
but it's coming soon.
It seems like a perfect thing for you.
It'll still be around.
Well, it was already. So we got it at BGG Con last year. It was, I think, released at that time.
Yeah.
And then we got to the episode just a couple months later, and it was already out of print. And I think we put the episode up after the Kickstarter, the second Kickstarter.
Right before.
I had no idea.
Right before.
Okay, but it was a short Kickstarter. It was a bummer because it's like I would have liked to have given people the opportunity to get it. So it's still 6 or 7 months later, and it's still not here yet. But it is really, really a well done game.
Yeah. Nikki P.
Yeah.
What you got?
So for games that I'd like to play, Lincoln mentioned already, but all the new exits, I want to get to them this year, definitely. And then I've got a card game called pardon me, I'm probably going to say it wrong. Sukota.
Sukota. I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either.
So it's a hand management trick-taking game. It does have a little bit of take that. I want to try it out. If it's got too much take that in it, then it won't be the game for me, but it just sounded really interesting. And the art on the box was beautiful, and it's about cherry blossom trees and picking up the blossoms. And so anyways, that one sounded interesting to me. And then the other one was Sukotsuwa.
You're not going to say it's the same game.
No, it's another
It's
one.
a different game?
Yes.
Wow. Does it have cherry blossoms?
Sukutsu. No, this one has.
Come on, they can't be that close to each
I
other.
wrote them down. Look, when I looked.
Sukuda.
Yeah.
And then
Sukuda.
Seikatsu. Okay, that one sounds like your kind of game right there.
It's
I don't
really
believe
insane.
it. I want links to the bottom to these at the bottom.
Okay.
I don't believe they exist.
This one is plant life and birds, and it's a 2-player, I believe.
Tile laying game,
A
right?
tile laying
Yeah.
game. And I think you're just trying to get areas, control areas, but you're also trying to get across the board to something. I don't know. It just, again, I saw them setting it up for a Board Game Geek. I think it was at
A demo at Essen.
Demo at Essen, or even at Origins,
Con.
or one of those. And I just thought it looked really, really interesting. And the other one was Vortex, and that is an older, I think it's 2016, and it's this plastic grid. And
It's not a grid. It's these. You have these wheels
yeah,
that you are trying to move. Is it 5 or 6
little
pies?
discs.
So you have these little pie wedge shapes, and the wheels overlap. So you're moving these pieces across the board while the other person is spinning the disc and moving stuff back and forth. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Really, the
really
most
neat.
amazing production and a really, really cool game.
And there's several games in that box.
Oh yeah, like variants and things to do with it.
Yeah. That was the one we were shown.
Right.
And then there's other
There's
ones.
even more, because at Essen he had a booth with more inserts that you can buy, the little pie-shaped things. They look like guitar picks, big guitar picks. And you can.
I think I saw something.
It's here. We have a copy, but it is really, really amazing production. He had thought about how to do something like that and then engineered it, and it's really, really amazing.
Wow, what's amazing is that because you guys go everywhere. Like, I don't even know any of those games. They all sound really cool. Mike, do you have any more games?
So let's talk about Terraforming Mars.
All right.
I didn't get to play it last year, but I got to play it the first time at the beginning of this year. So it's a really fun game. I did learn from Stephanie Bennett, who's probably one of the best people in the world on this game. So I get really good competition. It kind of, the cards, the variability, the number of players, there's different things to do each game. There's a lot of variability. It's a really good game. It's really thinky. There's a lot of variability, and especially on the cards. I like it a lot. You can get it to about 2 hours. It is a little bit long sometimes, but when you have players know what they're doing, it can be a very quick game.
That's one of those games that falls into that category of games that I sort of respect a little more than I like, even though in Terraforming Mars' case, I actually do like that more than I thought I was going to. That seemed like a kind of game that wasn't going to be for me. But then it was like, oh, that's pretty good. But like, I still have never played it with the card drafting. And I can't imagine I ever would, just because
it's not as bad as you think it is.
Really?
Yeah. It's you do half. The way we kind of do it, you do half drafting, half not, and then you draft each turn, and there's only 4 cards you're drafting. So it takes a lot of that problems. Let's say with Agricola, where you have all these cards you're drafting. It limits
is
it.
The epitome to me of a game that I respect more than I like.
Yeah. And then there's a new board that came out this year, and there's a new expansion. I played the board a couple times. I played the expansion once. It does have some more neat things to it.
Right.
So there's some variability to it.
That's cool.
Hopefully there's another expansion I think coming out next year too.
Yeah. Well, Venus Next is what just came out.
That's the one I played.
Yeah.
Let's planetarily segue.
Yep.
Thematically to you.
Yep.
Another game?
only another game that I wanted to get to. I don't think you guys are on Game Night. Have you guys played Flum Rouge?
We've played it, but we have not played on the show yet.
Okay, that sounds really cool to me, and it's been recommended by a bunch of people to me, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. As you know, I like Rider from old days,
Yeah.
Right.
cycling game, and I've heard it's basically if you like that game, you like this. This is better a little,
Right.
So
We had it. I think we must have played it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It didn't.
Yeah, I
work as
don't know.
well
It
for you?
didn't. It didn't. The downer is
How many
we
new
do.
games can you say that about? Most of them.
Well, no, but not for us. We generally do pretty good. But it was one that something we did. We had to have done something wrong because we were just like, this. It seems like you're kind of locked here. I don't understand. So we
really?
must have done something incorrect because it was somebody else that taught us that doesn't,
Right.
hadn't played it either, and it was a very noisy room that we played in.
Is it
all
a
that
race
kind of
game?
stuff.
Is
Yes.
it-
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
A race game is the perfect type of game where one little incorrect rule can
Exactly.
Right.
ruin everything.
We'll
right?
just jam up the whole thing and nobody's moving correctly.
Games that you played right that you
Yeah.
also enjoyed this year?
Oh, okay. Well, let me think here. Well, I
At least
mentioned
he
Azul,
thinks
which I
about it,
really
right?
loved.
Yeah, Azul, really good.
But I think you wanted to mention. Let's go to Sagrada for him because he was saying something about it
Okay.
before we started.
So you guys all played Sagrada on Game Night. I played outside of it, and I wasn't enamored with
Wait,
the
who
game.
won Sagrada?
I think it was actually you, right? I'm not sure. You can do all that, but there's a lot of weirdness about that one. It was very. That's my problem with that game.
Yes, no, you're right. Let's let
Yeah,
Mike say
yeah.
that, and then I guess we might support his point.
I guess I'm not enamored with the game. I think it just didn't sit well with me. I thought I would like it. I was
Yeah.
going to it really excited, and it turned out to be flat for me.
I have that same feeling. I mean, it looks fantastic.
Yes, it does.
There's
theming is pretty cool. Dude.
There's
The
some
thing
weird
last thing-
production things though in that.
I just
ultimately.
thought it ended up just being puzzly and less fun than I was really expecting.
There is a variety because of what you're drawing those cards. Like Azul makes you have a pattern that you all are doing.
Yep.
It makes more sense when you have those ones, and I understand it. You get a benefit by having more of the little jewels or whatever they are to, or pieces of glass, or whatever, to modify it. But like we couldn't even. I wasn't trying to foul it up, but we couldn't even see it. Like I screwed up a column, I think, in that game.
Yeah.
In the scoring. That's what Aaron's referring to.
I gotcha.
And I couldn't even see it, but when I could see, when you had a top down,
Right.
it's completely different than in this angle. And he's sitting right next to me. We didn't see it. It was very weird. And
Yeah, there's some production issues.
Because they have that-
it's too fiddly for what
behind,
should be a simple.
the behind
clean
thing
game.
is that it's got those different shades of gray.
Yeah.
Which I understand the whole point of all that, but it colors the dice, and then the dice aren't as clear as they really should be. I mean, I feel that they need to be much brighter so that you can really see the colors. It's really weird but they're so tiny and tight that's the thing is. And I think it's a pretty neat game. Scott has a problem with the whatever card color you draw. You draw a color of die that you're going to be scoring bonuses for, and he's like, that just is like so random.
Yep.
I agree with him.
Based on what comes up to you, somebody could get 20 points or 25 points, and that is weird. I agree, but maybe you just don't play with that. And just do the rest.
I'd like to try that.
It's funny. I don't have any of the problems you just said, but
Well, I didn't either.
But I
then
still think
editing it was where the problem. And I didn't even notice. We didn't even notice it. I didn't notice
No,
it when I
till
edited it. It
days
was till
later,
somebody
yeah.
said something.
But I still enjoy Azul more just because Sagrada to me was less of a game. It was more of a puzzle.
You're right.
I liked the puzzle part of that, so for me that was okay. But at least in Azul, I could see what the other players were doing. Whether I was able to work with that information or not was
Although
on,
I think you
was
called
on
one,
me.
You said I did like a 20-some point move, and it was I didn't actually get to place that piece. You couldn't tell that I wasn't filling that row.
I couldn't, but that wasn't the game's fault. That's
No, of course
that's
not.
reading
Yeah,
glasses.
yeah.
Yeah, but at least
That's your thing from this distance
Right.
with these glasses is a little fuzzy.
But at least there could be some interaction with that.
Correct.
On Sagrada, you just can't do that at all. It's too much of a puzzle for me.
Sagrada,
It's not fun.
Sagrada is to Azul to me as Role Player was to Dice Forge, for example. Even though they're not quite the same game, but I was disappointed that Role Player was a dice game in which you didn't roll dice. I mean, they were just there.
And the name has role
Yeah,
player.
I know,
You're
I
right.
know.
I know,
but it's
I
like
really
you
don't
didn't
wanna play
actually
it.
really roll dice,
Right.
and it was like, oh,
Right.
there was something
Except
there.
when you pulled them out of the bag to start the turn.
yeah, yeah. You had an episode.
And also, like Mike, an episode that I wasn't on, but then later played the game and thought, well, I'm glad I wasn't on that one.
Well, then I guess we were too.
You guys all played Clank.
Yeah.
And when I got around to it, I didn't like it.
Fighting words.
Nope. No, here's the thing. One of my gaming philosophies is often like, X is too simple, but I need a little bit more game grafted onto it. For instance, deck building is a great mechanic, but I like, something extra added to it, right?
Like
so
board or
Clank
whatever.
has that. It's got a dungeon exploring and a board that you're exploring and treasures to collect and everything. Great. Good start. But what deck building games do not need is player elimination and death and a limited market that you can't buy the things you need. You're just stuck with these 5 or 6 cards and that's it. So yeah, maybe I just played Clank and had a couple bad experiences, but like you can lose that game through no fault of your own. Everybody else has cards that add Clank to you, and every time it's your turn, nothing removes it. You're going to lose that game. I don't think it's well designed, and I don't think I'll play it again. Anyway, but I mean, I appreciate elements of the design. I think it was going in a good direction. I just think it needs like a cleaner card deck or like more. You can buy this every turn.
I wonder if
stuff.
Clank in Space will...
Maybe, or isn't there an undersea
There's
thing?
an undersea
yeah.
one too, yeah.
And if I can just keep going for a moment back to good episodes that I did like, Nikki mentioned This War of Mine and Black Orchestra, which were some of my favorites of the year. And one more co-op that I really liked we did right at the beginning of the year was Arkham Horror, the card game.
Yes, that's on my
yeah.
list too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really like all things Lovecraft
Seventh
and
Continent,
Arkham
which you did not
Horror.
play, is another one that's amazing.
That was one I was sad to miss as well. That's another episode that I go, when did they do that one?
Well, it was because Aldi wanted us to get it out before the Kickstarter ended. He wanted to get because it's going to be limited availability, and we only gave it like 1 week of time. It was still even too tight, but that was why we rushed it through. It is very, very neat, and the potential for that system is ridiculously cool. There's like storytelling things you can do, and all kinds of great stuff that game can do.
Yeah.
It's, that system can do. It's really, really cool.
Are there any Arkham Horror Lovecraftian games you play that you didn't like at all?
Yeah, Der Hexer von Salem or Die
Witch of
Hexen
Salem,
von
yeah.
Salem.
You
Witch of
didn't like that?
Salem.
Yeah.
I
don't
didn't
think-
really like it.
I don't
Yeah, it's one of my
understand
favorite
that.
No,
games.
you're crazy.
Too simple and too.
That
and not,
actually makes
not
sense
That,
because it has the theme you like, but it doesn't have the
It doesn't really
the
have
depth
it.
to that theme you like.
It's,
But that's why it's
pasted
great.
on theme.
That's why it's great, and that's why you're wrong.
It's the end of Arkham Horror. It's the last 30 minutes of Arkham Horror, and that's why I like that game.
There you go. Arkham the End Game.
Well, there's that. What is it? What was the werewolf you guys would do? The last round of werewolf.
Yeah.
Which is basically one night werewolf now, but
No, just as an
it
experiment.
was like the
once,
last round.
Me and I think Anthony and
Yeah.
Corbin maybe we played 3-player werewolf. That was the entire game.
Okay.
We had we took like a deck of cards and we took out like the ace of spades and like 2 red eights, and we just shuffled them. And the way it worked was, once you looked at your roll, and if 2 people pointed to the same person,
Yep.
that person died, and that was the end of the game. So. And it sounded like it wasn't going to work, and it was pretty great. And it managed to be pretty great.
Dave, you can make a game out of anything. That seems.
Well, some of that also, a lot of that sometimes, we've all experienced that, right? Some games are really, really great, even though the games necessarily aren't great because of the company.
True.
And some really great games can be terrible because of the company. I mean, that's part of the experience.
Right.
But we didn't know if that was going to work. We just thought, well, let's just try it. And it ended up being a lot better than we thought it was going to be. Because you don't want to point to the wrong person. You only got 1 vote, and there's no voting.
Right.
It's not like 1, 2, 3. It's just like if I point to Mark and Aaron points to Mark, and there's 3 of us, and Mark is dead, and that's the end of the game right away, regardless. So the werewolf has a lot of power in that 3-player game, but by the same token, it was pretty great. It ended up working out pretty great.
I just wanted to mention the Harry Potter Battle of Hogwarts game, which we only played 3 years. We still haven't gotten back to doing the rest, and then there's an expansion that I don't think we've got yet. But that one was really fun, especially because I love Harry Potter, and it had some really cool adding to your characters. It gives you more of the character that you have in each movie, so the character builds and their abilities grow, and it was really, really fun. I like that kind of campaign style thing.
Right.
I mean, there's so much stuff that's campaign style.
It's
like
almost a role-playing game in that sense,
yeah.
right?
Well, just touching
Just
on
barely,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got the development
Yeah,
and
of the
character
characters.
growth, sure.
The other game that I'm very excited about, which I was excited about last year, which was Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which we still haven't played. I don't even own it yet, but that one I'm really looking forward to because it really supposedly builds upon all that stuff as well. So that's another one that I would love to get back. Dave never even finished Pandemic. We only played it. Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I know. I believe you. Do you have games that you are looking forward to, or anyone?
No, I'm not in that loop
You
like
guys-
you guys are.
I'm not either.
I guess Edison and everything.
But you do. I know you
No.
do. You had some
Oh.
games
I got a
looking
few
forward
too.
to.
Well,
That's good.
there was one that was Wish Bounty Hunters, but that came out this year.
Well, yeah,
at
but it's
Well, tell me about it.
Essen.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
It's just I believe it's cards, and you are trying to capture monsters with magic abilities and also weaponry and stuff. And whoever gets the most monsters and the higher points and all of that. But it's I don't know how much of it is like a build your deck kind of situation, but it just looked interesting to me to see how, because it was sort of co-op-y, which I'm like, okay, how is it co-op, but then I'm getting the points for catching the monster with the help from other players. So I just wanted to try it out.
That sounds cool.
Well, and the other one, you have another one. You got to play it again at
I did.
at Essen, right?
So what was it originally going to be
It
called?
was Colony.
It was called Colony.
Yeah, we've talked about it last year, but he was wondering,
talked
what is
about
this
it
game?
last
What is this game?
They've changed the name now to Micropolis.
Micropolis, yeah.
Micropolis. And we got a chance to play it at Essen this year in a more finished.
It was it. It was there was a production
version.
copy that was
It was a
pre-production.
pre-production copy, and it was still great. Retained all of the fun stuff that we really enjoyed in the prototype, and we played with a bunch more people this
Yeah.
time.
I actually
Is
had
it
to sit
6?
out. I
Can
think
it
it's
go to
5.
s-
I think
it's
it's 5.
Like, okay.
And what kind of game is it?
And that's I'll let Lincoln
So the deal is
explain
you
it.
have your anthill, and what you're doing is you're drawing these pie-shaped sort of. You have like a command. It's like, I guess it's the where you put your army ants, and you're building these pieces around the puzzle. You're making your anthill, and you have these the tunnels that they've got, and you're trying to connect candy to your queen, and you have. There's battling stuff out too that lets you go first and stuff. I think you won that game that you played at Essen, and you can't have more than one queen in a tunnel. It's really really cool. And Aldi got to play it as well, and he was like, "This is another SDJ potential game. It's really really cool." It was Bruno Catala and another designer. Sadly, I don't remember right now. And it's coming from Matago, I think is
Yeah.
what it is, and that is a great. The art looks. It looks kind of like. Yeah, of course. It looks kind of like Bug's Life kind of ants. That was, but thematically it'd be more like ants. But it still was. It looked really really cool. It was, and it's. I cannot wait to get it. They did a really beautiful job on the production.
There's connecting tunnels.
Because each card
you're
you'll
drafting from the center.
you'll see segments on your tile that you might be able to connect back to, and it's really really neat.
That sounds cool. A couple of games for me, just to throw out some more new games for me this year. Everybody knows that I love Dog, and they had a version called Black Dog this year that is the same dog board, but the middle of it kind of can spin.
Whoa.
And you liked it
Oh
though.
wow.
I did,
Because I heard bad things about it.
Well,
And I bought it, but I haven't
the
played it
first time I played it, it just went a really long time, and we were all just trying to kind of wrap our head around it. So I kind of walked away.
The pawns move, so it's like the middle of a
If your
Parcheesi board. That
if your
moves.
pawn is on the middle,
Yeah.
the middle part can spin. There are rules for what causes it to spin or not spin,
And your
it goes-
pawns go with it.
Yes,
to a different
all the pawns on it go with it,
Sort of tells
including a non-player pawn called the Black Dog. That replaces the 7, so there's no 7 in Black Dog. There are just cards. There's a 5 and a 6, and they're basically the card themselves is black. And when you play, say, a black 5, you move 5. Then the Black Dog moves 5, and it just burns everything it touches, including yourself. And it has to move. So if you have, say, a black 5 and a black 6 in your hand, you will have to play them at some point, unless you have to discard. But so there are instances where you burn yourself. There are instances where you can kind of escape that via the spinny thing. A friend of mine recently, who owns no versions of Dog, said, okay, if I'm only going to buy one, which one am I going to buy? And 20 minutes talking to him later, we had not decided on which one. Because they're all good for various reasons. Obviously, Dog is the simplest and easiest. Dog Royal is like the most gamery and sort of complicated. But you can play Dog with Dog Royal. I mean, it's that kind of thing. But Black Dog is cool because it was its own thing. Like, I ended up, it's because it showed up on Brett Spielwell that I was able to then play
play it.
That was to play a bunch of it. And that's the best training ground for me to sort of learn a game and really get into it. In fact, let me see. I played it 49 times this year.
Okay.
So. But that's because I can play it online and not too hard. But yeah, that spinny wheel and the way it works, and there's also, Black Dog has, the 4 in Black Dog is not a back 4. It's just a 4, but it's a split 4 between you and your partner. So I can move 1 for me and 3 for my partner. Or I can move all 4 for my partner. Right. So on my turn, I can not move at all.
Yep.
So I can almost give my partner like 2 turns in a row. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff to it. I wasn't sure I was going to like yet another version of Dog.
Right.
But
I think you did.
yeah, I really did. That one was really cool for me. And then another game that we haven't played, maybe we'll do this game, that I never heard anything about but just showed up out of the blue, was The Banishing. It's a co-op. It's a co-op, and it has the best thing about a co-op, which is it's just crazy hard. It starts off like, oh, we're going to do this, and then of course it ramps up and you're like, oh. But it's just this 9x9 grid of cards. And all you're trying to do is, like, banish a certain number of cards. And if you can just banish them, it's simple. And I don't really want to go into more description than that in case we actually do it as a show. But it seems like it's going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's so good. You guys played it with me.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
Well, I had a couple games that we would like to get to. That we've got the games. Gloomhaven, which I went through the whole thing, and it's a dungeon. I don't know if it's just dungeon crawl, but you're in this town and you're doing these jobs, and it's this insane forever game. It's got so many campaigns and really amazing production values, and it's a tough one to get as well because it's been Kickstarted twice. I know it's getting into stores some, and maybe this latest Kickstarter is going to push more into the stores. It really needs to because it's really, really great. And then the other one that I really, really want to play on Game Night is the one I call Catan Strikes Back, which is Spirit Island.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you know about Spirit Island? It's a co-op game.
I thought either you or Greg didn't like it.
I didn't play it.
So it's a
my
co-op
friends
game,
played it.
And you're basically the inhabitants and the flora and fauna of the island. And you're trying to stop the colonists from moving in.
I like that. I like that theme.
Really cool. Really cool.
It's a response to all the games.
It really needs
That's great.
It needs to be licensed by the Catan group and themed somehow to make it in reverse, because it is really, really cool. And every time I say it to somebody, they're like, that's what it is. It really is. You're fighting the colonists from moving in. It's really, really cool. And we got it at Gen Con, but we've had so little time to do anything in between August and now. And then the other 2 games, which I'm going to group together, were Gore Chosen and do you know Gore Chosen?
No.
Okay, Gore Chosen and Shade. What is it called? Shadespire. Somebody said Shakespeare, and it's in my brain every time. So no, but they're 40. They're 40K. They're not 40K. They're Warhammer games.
Okay.
And so Gore Chosen is just this battle game. You're in an arena. There's 4 of you, and you're just beating each other up. And it's just cards. You're just playing cards. And they, of course, have the minis, and we have these beautifully painted minis from Sebastian, who was on
2 of our episodes.
Number 9, and what was the other one we did?
Number 9's the only one I can keep thinking of.
Magic Maze.
Magic Minis.
There
So they brought us the painted minis. So that part of that makes me, I don't want to show that because holy cow, those miniatures are spectacular. But we're probably going to do it anyway with those. And then Shadespire is an entry point game that they have that is a game. It's not. It has a whole bunch of minis, and they are the same push fit. You don't even have to glue them. And they're really, really great minis, and it looks like a spectacular game. And also, I'll name one more. They've redone Necromunda, and it's great. So they've removed They haven't removed it. It's the first expansion or something where it's vertical and you're in buildings and stuff. The base game is Underhive, I think is what it's called, and you're in the sewers or something like that. And they've really turned things around. So I'm hopeful that we can actually play some of those on the show. They really, really did a nice job.
Lincoln, what about with just doing this War of Mine? It might be too close and too similar. But what about First Martians, which is somewhat like Robinson Crusoe on Mars?
Yeah,
do you have that, or do you have
we
interest
do
in that?
We do want to do that one. I thought we talked about. We did get it after. We were joking about having a certain person on that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that'd be cool. That's
so
right.
yeah. Hopefully that'll. Whether that can come true, it'd be fun. But he may not even. In the beginning of the game, I don't think it actually even involves that portion of it. Speaking obliquely, it's really
Mystery.
bad.
I know. But, stay tuned.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do that one. The problem is we only do about 37 episodes.
Only.
Only.
Well, believe me, I'm talking about trying to do more, but because there's so many games we want to do.
Yeah.
It's just, it piles up and people request, and we always consider, but the avalanche of new games and what we're excited about, it's just constantly
there's
gets,
always so many
you
more
basically
ones to do.
just gets pushed aside, and it sucks because we still haven't done one that we talked about doing last year, which was Mechs vs. Minions, and we still may do it because it's amazing and it's quick and it's fun and Aaron knows it.
Yeah.
We just haven't had time to get it to the table.
Well, a little behind the scenesy thing, but there's not a project. It's similar to a lot of projects,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Here's this list of things we do, and inherent within that are those one or two things that get left off every year.
Of course.
To the point where it's like 3 years later and we still haven't done this game.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, oh, but what about... Because new stuff keeps coming along all the time, and that's part of the thing.
Well, and then we always, we think, oh, this will be a long game. I don't want to do too many long games. We end up doing a bunch of long games.
Right.
This year was a lot of long games.
Yep.
Because Seventh Continent was a super, super quick episode. We turned that one around in like 3 days, and that was really hard.
Yep.
And I love those episodes, but they definitely, you're going to see, we're not going to see a bunch of those long ones here, because we just did a bunch of short ones recently, so... and we kind of have to do that because it's really hard to actually push those through the production schedule.
I have 4 games that I like to mention as we sort of wrap this up. I always have my list of the games that I played for the year, and I was looking at it, and there are 4 games on this list that I played this year that aren't new. In fact, they're very old, but I realized I actually hadn't played them in a couple of years, maybe longer in some cases, and that was Taj Mahal, Notre Dame, Pizarro and Company, and Careers.
Careers.
Careers was the best one because someone was like, I saw that you like Careers, like on BHG, and I really want to play it. So
is that on Breastbell World?
No, but when I remember, I hadn't played Taj Mahal in a long time. Like I don't think I'd played it for like maybe 4 years or 5 years, and I'm in the middle of the game going, why don't I play this more often? This game is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really
because it was a 5-player game too, right?
Because it's out of print again. Remember, it was
yeah,
in
but
a leg.
everybody I know has a copy. It's not like
I'm looking at one right now behind me.
I think it's one of those games that's been out of print and long enough that people forget about
Yeah.
it. There is some brinkmanship. There's some issues with the game that some people may not like
I
about
totally
it. But
understand
I
that.
love
Yeah,
it.
I don't like it.
I love it.
But that and Notre Dame is just...
Notre Dame's a good game,
it's
too.
one of, games that just don't seem to come off the shelf that much anymore, right? And Pizarro and Company, I understand, was like a love-hate thing.
Oh, hate.
There's the hate. I totally
hate.
understand that, but...
I love that one. But it was called Magellan, is the other name of it?
I think
Was
so.
it?
Yeah.
was that... Yeah.
I love that game as well, but I probably haven't played it for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I have a copy. It's just like it just doesn't get out to the table that much. I also have a much older game that I sort of rediscovered this year, or played a lot more than I ever had before, and it is sort of links into Brettspielwelt, although it's not on Brettspielwelt, it's on Yukata.de. But I find that online gaming, even though I don't do as much of it as some people across the table from me, is a really good way to, get familiarity with games that you've only played a few times, or get games that take a lot of setup and instruction, played more often. And actually played a game of this with Mark this year. Pax Porphyrion is it's a really neat small press game from Phil Eklund and Sierra Madre Games, and it's about the struggles in Mexico in the early 1900s when the government was in danger of constantly being overthrown. And so you portray a strong rich Mexican landowner, and you purchase cards from a central array, and you try to topple the government in your favor. Essentially, is how you win the game. And it's the implementation on Yukata is flawless and really great. And so I didn't play that game in person at all this year, but I played it a dozen or more times already online.
Is that
It's
your
such a
most
really
played game this year?
It is my most played game that I didn't touch in person this year.
How long does the
yes.
game take in real life?
In real life, anywhere from like
pretty
40
variable.
minutes to an hour and a half.
And
2
how long
hours.
does it take on Yukata?
Well, I mean,
Well, you kind of
More than a week?
well,
yes.
everything's that way, right?
Well, no, but like, okay.
If you and I
you
played
can't- no, no,
right
no.
now, an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Yukata's not like British Spielwelt. I mean, you take
understand.
a turn a day for.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you give me a lot of crap for British Spielwelt. Like my most
You're right.
played game
It takes 2 or 3 weeks on Yukata.
my most played game this year is Knock Mall. I played it on British Spielwelt. So far, year's not over yet. 238 times.
Yeah.
But most of those games are like 5 minutes. Or maybe like 8 minutes or 10 minutes. And it's like my version of Solitaire, right? Except that I'm playing at least against another person somewhere. So it's not like I'm on British Spielwelt all the time. But I can go on a British Spielwelt like for a half hour and knock out 3 games of Knock Mall.
Wow.
So that's part of it. But that's, my most played real game, if you want to talk about it, like is Codenames Duet. And my non-computer.
Did you record how many of those 238 games you won of Knock Mall?
I don't know. Do you guys know? Do you know what your
Looks
most
like he
played game
does
is so
now.
far this year?
Well, I'm actually sort of falling down on tracking, so I have a feel for it.
Okay.
Okay. But I don't do British Spielwelt so much anymore, but online still has more plays, right? I played Maori a lot. That's one of my go-tos
That's a
over
good
and over and over again. And A Few Acres of Snow, which I love, and they have that great on.
I still haven't
Yukata.
played that. I need to play that sometime.
So good, so good. And then in person, probably Paris Connection, because it was one of our go-tos.
Because you're in Paris.
Yes, but also just love it anyway. I just love that game system. I loved it before, and it was a happy coincidence that it's just such a...
Happy coincidence is a good way to describe that game system.
sounds like a shot.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, I really like that game system a lot. And then another one I played a few times and liked quite a bit, I played with a buddy at work, is Evolution the Beginning. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
have you
I
played
remember
the
you
card
talking
game version
about
of
that.
I like that quite a bit.
Do you have any idea what...
So I don't really play games online. I'd rather play games face to face. So it's Keyflower.
You didn't need to say rather. It was unnecessary. Keyflower, you think? You played more?
No, I'm absolutely played Keyflower.
Yeah?
Probably 20 times. Mostly merchants. Yeah, we
Yeah.
played a couple farmers again this year. But
Yeah.
it's a really good game.
Do you have any idea? What do you think your most played game is for the year?
Just the easiest to get at was Splendor because it
Yeah.
Yeah,
being
me
an
too.
app.
We played it a lot.
So I played that a lot this year on
It's
the
a fine,
app.
fine game.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You think
Yeah,
that's your most
me
played game as
too.
well?
That one and probably Circus Wakata we played a bunch too, as usual.
All right. Well, I think we covered it all.
Yeah, so I want to thank everyone for watching the shows this year, and the right now on Board Game Geek is the end of the year support drive, and if you would like to support us and by extension support Board Game Geek, it would be really great if you guys would consider doing that. And thanks again for watching. Thanks,
All right.
Dave.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys, for the year.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dave.
Dave.